diggity, diggity dog. Breaking, diggity, diggity dog. Breaking.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Branded MMA Show. It is May 14th, 2021. This is our UFC 262 preview show. This pretty much is what it's going to boil down to. So I'm joined by Walsh to my bottom here, and to his bottom is Mac, a.k.a. Ryan McCarthy. It should probably be Ryan McCarthy, a.k.a. Mac, because your real name's Ryan, and we call you Mac, so it's like I may have fudged that up a little. I think we might have to rewind and restart the show because it was overall just a mediocre intro at best. But well, you know what? We're just gonna move on from it. Okay, we don't dwell in the past here. So guys, UFC 262 coming up this weekend. Hell of a card, hell of a pay-per-view. Injuries be damned. We're still looking at a hell of a good card for fight night. So, well, guys, let's just jump right into it here. I want to start with the main event, obviously. So we do have the fights and the odds. The odds are courtesy of CBS Sports Brent Brookhouse. So let's just get right into it. We got the main card starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, May 15th. We got the lightweight title fight. Number 3, Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira versus number 4, Michael Chandler. We have Charles Oliveira, the -130 favorite. Michael Chandler, +110 underdog. Walsh, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on the fight?
I'll be honest. I was a little more excited for this card a couple of days ago. I'm not super excited now, and it's nothing like, not that I'm not excited, but I'm not as excited as I was just because I'm not sold on Charles Oliveira. I'm just not. I refuse to believe him as a true contender. And listen, maybe it's wrong, whatever. But I just feel like Michael Chandler is going to go in here and knock his face off. Like, he's going to touch him, and it's just going to be the end of the fight. Listen, Oliveira looked great in his last fight. Good for him. Fantastic. You're going to get your chance to, get your shot at the main event here. And I just think we're going to see the true Charles Oliveira, and he's going to get his ass beat. Plain and simple.
All right. I do see where you're coming from there. I actually did just watch Cub Swanson versus Charles Oliveira today. And, it was a fight where Charles did get pieced up by Cub. You're kind of thinking we're going to see that old Charles Oliveira, not the mature current fighter we saw just dominate Tony Ferguson in his last fight.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Tony Ferguson in his last fight was not the Tony Ferguson we all know and love. I think in that last fight for Tony, he was coming off the tough loss to Justin Gaethje, where Gaethje just really beat him up. I think we're all in agreement. Gaethje just beat the piss out of Tony Ferguson, something that we haven't really seen too often. And he kind of ran into the hot Charles Oliveira, and like I said, Oliveira fought probably the best fight of his life that night. And I just don't see that repeat performance happening again. And I think Michael Chandler, he was training to be the replacement in the Khabib fight, if need be. So he was training for that. And then he came out in his debut, and, he absolutely dominated Dan Hooker with the first-round knockout. So I think this guy's a man on a mission. He wants to prove himself as being a top guy in now the UFC, and I think he's going to go out and prove that on Saturday night.
Okay, I can't say I agree with you, but as we always say here in the US of A, I respect your opinion. That's not really, I guess it's not really welcomed on most three chair shows that are sports related, but here we're welcoming of all opinions. Like I said, I don't agree with that. Mac, let's see if you're in the same boat.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call. I mean, I really like both of them. They're both obviously riding highs after arguably the biggest wins of both their careers. Chandler obviously had immense success at Bellator, but UFC is a whole nother level, and it's really tough to tell what Michael's going to look like. I think Charles is going to be he's going to be Charles, and he's going to be really good. Obviously really good on the ground, and his striking versus Tony in his last fight was, really phenomenal, and pretty eye-opening in terms of his striking. I mean, we knew he was good on the ground, but he really pieced Tony up a lot. And I was riding Tony high into that fight, and man, that was a tough beatdown, 30-26 across the board. So really dominant performance from Charles. And then Michael, I had Dan Hooker winning that fight. So Michael surprised me as well with the way he really stopped Hooker with really just one punch. So Michael's going to come out, I think, really aggressive like he always does. And the one thing with Chandler and Oliveira is Chandler is obviously very good on the ground as well. He's a wrestler, true and true, and obviously a phenomenal striker. So I think this could be a tough matchup for Charles, and we'll see. But I went back and forth on this one, but I think Chandler is going to stop him in the later rounds, maybe in the third or fourth, or say middle rounds. Yes, I'll say third or fourth round. I think he stops in TKO, but I do think Charles has some success in this fight. I think it's a close one. So as the odds say, this will be a close one to see.
Yeah, the odds do not lie. And so you're thinking more, Mac, that we're going to see the pressure be the inevitable downfall of Charles Oliveira. You're saying, we're going to see Michael Chandler come out very aggressive, and you think that's just going to wear on him over time to the point where Michael Chandler is our new lightweight champion. Yeah,
I mean, you see Michael, it's almost like he's improved, in his last few fights here for sure. He's sitting at 35 years old. But he hasn't really slowed down. I mean, his last loss was to Pitbull in Bellator, and that was a shocking loss. But since then, he's rattled off 3 straight, and that Dan Hooker performance was very impressive. So I think that really gained his confidence as well, knowing that he can hang with the guys in the UFC. I mean, you see people move over from promotions and lose, and then they're like, oh, maybe it's not for them in the UFC, but with Michael, I think his confidence even got higher, and therefore, I think, I think Charles is in for a tough time. But like I said, I think we see success from Charles. So don't be surprised if Charles wins this. But it's hard not to lean towards Chandler in this one.
All right, Walsh, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing for Chandler coming into this fight is the fact that his first fight could have potentially been a championship fight. That's how confident, the UFC was in him for having him trained to be the replacement in that Khabib fight. So I think for him, it's the mindset. He was going in like, oh, snap, I might have to prepare to jump in and face the best lightweight of all time in my UFC debut. So you got to think his training for that leading up to the Dan Hooker fight, obviously we saw the performance. He looked great,
right.
Knockout win. I think he's just going to carry that over into this, and I just think we're just going to see a really dominant performance again.
Which, on the flip side, we are seeing this is Oliveira's first title shot, and he's been in the UFC for almost 11 years now. So, I mean, that's just something to also think about. This is new territory for him. And, Mac, this is not a classroom, but I'm going to go ahead and go to you for raising your hand. Mac, you're on the air. Go ahead.
I kind of like the hand raising or like the one finger. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see, Charles in this position. He has been fighting in the UFC since 2010, 11 years. He's not had a title fight. So really speaks to, him as a person, the way he's really kept going and, just really found his groove. I mean, he hasn't lost in, since 2017. I believe it is 8 in a row for him now. So very dangerous. He is a very, very dangerous, this is his first title fight in 11 years with the UFC. So phenomenal stuff to see. And yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Charles, but Chandler here's going to give him a problem, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of come full circle for Charles Oliveira. Like you say, he's been fighting the UFC since 2010. And I remember watching him back in the day. I remember watching even his fight with he submitted Efren Escudero in the co-main event of, I believe it was the Nate Marquardt versus Husamar Palhares fight night. And he got pushed up against Jim Miller on the St. Pierre versus Koscheck 2 card. And that was almost like supposed to be a star-making fight for him. We saw Jim Miller, a guy that's constant fight of the night machine at the time, but not a guy that could really overcome kind of those big hurdles in the sport. Was always kind of seen as a gatekeeper at this point. Had lost a very decisive loss to Gray Maynard, I believe, at UFC 96. I may get the date wrong on that. So that was kind of a star-making fight set up for Oliveira to be the next big thing, because at the time he was hyped like that, and there's no arguing that. And we kind of saw him hit a rough patch there against a bunch of killers in the division, lightweight and featherweight. We saw him get knocked out by Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He had the esophageal tear against Max Holloway. He's had the loss to Paul Felder, and he's had the loss to last one is Cub Swanson, was knocked out by him as well. And so we've seen him in a ton of fights over the years, and it's just as someone that was a longtime fan back then, it's cool to see it come full circle, like I said.
Yeah, I agree. I did want to point out, I think if Chandler wins this, and whoever he faces next, I actually don't know how well he's going to do against like the Gaethjes of the world and Dustin Poirier. And even if Conor were to beat Dustin, I really think actually those three alone, I would pick them over Chandler. I think just stylistically, Chandler is a bad matchup for Charles. The lightweight division is weird. It's really all about matchups and stylistic matchups. I mean, we saw with Khabib these last multiple years with his, wrestling and, really just overtaking all the strikers in that division. But it's definitely a new era now without Khabib. And I do think that Gaethje, Poirier, or Conor would beat Chandler in his next fight. I don't know who they're going to give the winner of this. I would say Gaethje or the winner of Dustin and Conor, obviously.
I would agree with you on that, Mac. I think this is Chandler's one chance to really win the title and, make his, name higher than what it is. But I think if he goes up against that top competition with those three guys, I just don't see him coming out on top unless, Conor just – I think Conor would probably be the one he could beat.
That's exactly
saying that as
That's
a Conor
exactly
fan,
what I was thinking.
But I think McGregor would be the one that he would beat if he was to beat any of those three guys.
Yeah, I just feel like out of those three, I feel like Gaethje, it's even crazy to say at this point, I think he not only could he eat Chandler's shots, I think he's going to put up a better defense on it to where he's not having to just, defend with his face. Dustin Poirier, same situation there. I think we're going to see a lot of defensive boxing from him in that fight. But Conor, it's like I feel like Conor could get caught by Chandler if that were to be the fight that does happen next, if Chandler wins, of course. Or hell, even if they just fight for a normal non-title five-round main event. I still see that happening. But something I do want to point out, you guys did bring up Khabib earlier, and we're bringing up Conor right now. This is the first UFC title fight, excluding interim titles, to not feature Khabib or McGregor since 2016, and that was Eddie Alvarez versus Rafael dos Anjos, which was July 7th on a fight night card, on Fight Pass no less. We can't imagine a UFC title fight being on Fight Pass behind a paywall.
Especially not in this division.
Probably never again. Well, I can't imagine that happens again.
And you know what the crazy thing is about that card? It took place in Vegas. It was, I believe, over the fighters or the fight. Well, what's it called? Fight Appreciation Week or fight. You know what I'm talking about? I can't. It slips my mind right now, but I know what it is. It's what's Mac? Help me out here. What is it?
Like international fight week. Yeah,
International Fight Week. I believe it was the Thursday night card or Friday night card before the big event on Saturday. But yeah, that's just crazy to think about. Both stats there, and
it's also. Sorry, you can go.
No, go ahead, Mac. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's really crazy to think, this is all hypothetical, of course. If Khabib still, wasn't retired and had his title, he'd probably be fighting either one of these guys this weekend. So that's really kind of cool to think about, that he'd probably be fighting Charles or Michael. Presumably, I would say Oliveira, but maybe Chandler as well, based on his name. Of course, can't pick against Khabib in those fights, but I think both of them could have gave Khabib some trouble with their grappling skills. Although we never really saw anyone give Khabib trouble, so hard to tell.
No, and that's what I was going to say. This whole show would probably be a lot different. We wouldn't be sitting here debating who's going to win the main event if that was the case. I think we'd all would agree Khabib is probably going to win that fight.
Yes, 10 times out of 10, you got to pick
No.
him. At the nine and a half times out of 10.
Okay,
Nope.
I'm down. I can give a Walsh. You seem to disagree here. Let's get an even or odd number from you out of 10 of what you would pick that fight.
Well, if he's going up against Oliveira, I'll go 10 out of 10. If he's going up against
Okay.
Oliveira, 10 out of 10. But Chandler
Chandler could give him some
this is
issues.
where my
Yeah.
bias comes. I know, but this is where my bias comes in, though, because I hate Khabib. I absolutely despise Khabib.
Ooh, hot take
I'm
alert.
flat out, yeah, hot take alert. The first biased opinion on the Branded MMA show in history. I hate Khabib. We'll never
Okay.
root for him in a championship fight. Won't do it. I'll always root against him. But yeah, I think Chandler, he wins 6 out of 10.
You think Chandler beats Khabib six
No.
times?
Khabib, no, other way around. Khabib beats Chandler 6 out of 10 times.
I think
That's
it's like
still-
9.
Yeah,
It's probably 9.
I'm gonna say 8, just because I think, like you said, anything can happen, and I do think Chandler could give him trouble, and I think he would catch him at least one out of those 10 fights. But to catch him 4 times, to catch Khabib on a bad day 4 times in a row, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
We'll see.
never. I mean, I just keep thinking about how like hyped and like pumped everyone was for Gaethje, and Khabib just like made him look like a child in there.
Destroyed him.
Yeah, he did.
Like
It's
it was
unreal.
insane.
Unreal. And so,
The
guys, let's
worst.
make sure we're on the same page for the pick for the main event this weekend, which will be tweeted
Yeah.
out through the UFC main event pick-off extravaganza, which you can find on Twitter at Branded MMA. Walsh, you're in last place, so we're going to let you go first.
Chandler by knockout.
Okay. Mac, you're in
Fuck
second
yeah.
place. You go next.
I will go Chandler by knockout in the 3rd round.
Okay. Now, like we said, we've all been back and forth on this. I believe in our group text, we said we don't know who we're going to pick yet. It's such a coin flip of a fight. But just based.
I had Charles pretty much really up until this week, where I don't know. I just have that feeling, with Chandler, he's going to catch him, and he's just so aggressive in his wrestling, and it's just a bad matchup for Oliveira. It really is. So, we'll see.
It is, and I feel like I'm going against my better judgment, even though I'm picking the betting favorite here. I'm going to go Charles Oliveira, and I'm going to say submission. I think he can get
That'd be
this
wild.
done. It would be wild,
Would be.
and I just, like you said, going back to the whole full circle thing for Charles.
Yeah.
It's a feel good story for me to see this guy finally capture gold when he was hyped as the next big thing, hit a rough patch, and comes back and fights for the title. I mean, how can I root against that? That is a Rocky-esque story. So Charles Oliveira by submission, round 2. I'll go Charles Oliveira submission, round 2.
Keith, what round are you saying?
Chandler by knockout in round 1.
Yeah.
He's gonna catch him immediately, and Oliveira's just not gonna know what hit him, and that's gonna be it.
I don't hate that. I could see that happening, but like I said, I have a dream right now that Charles Oliveira is going to be holding lightweight gold by the end of the night Saturday.
I think Chavy's too distracted by the fact that he just wants to see this guy get his moment.
Hey, who was first in the pickoff extravaganza?
It is you, Chavy.
Yeah,
It
but
is
you're on a downward spiral right now. All I'm saying, we're coming.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
But
I did want to point out. I think Chandler's a good way to make some money as well as the dog at plus 110.
Mhm.
Just for those betting folks, it's definitely a good way. You might as well
plus 210
throw
for
some money on
knockout
it.
right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a really good way to make some money.
I would say if you're gonna pick Chandler to win and it's a plus 210 for him to get the knockout, I don't see the fight going the distance. Obviously, he's not gonna submit Charles Oliveira, which is even crazier odds. But if you want a safe bet, if you're gonna already ride with Chandler, I think knockout, hammer that plus 210. That's an easy way to make money. But you're not going to, because Charles Oliveira is gonna win. Let's move on to the co-main event. We kind of got a lightweight rectangle fecta. I couldn't think of a trifecta didn't sound right, so we're gonna go rectangle because there's 4 competitors. A square, whatever.
But yeah.
Anyways,
square fecta.
Squarefecta. We got a squarefecta of lightweights in the co-main event. We have number 5, Tony Ferguson, who is the plus 130 underdog, going up against number 9, Beneil Dariush. Dariush minus 155. Mac, we're starting with you on this one. What do you think of those odds? That's kind of crazy. We had a 9 versus a 5, and the 9 is the betting favorite. Slight, but still the betting favorite.
I think it's probably due to Tony's last couple performances here with Gaethje and Charles, who obviously are no slouches in their own. So, but really had a tough time with both of them, and kind of got dominated, to be honest, in both of those fights. So we haven't seen him get a dub since that Donald Cerrone fight 2 years ago. So, I've been the biggest Tony homer that I know personally. I mean, I would have picked Tony if he fought Khabib pretty much up until Khabib retired. So it's very, very difficult for me to see Tony in this position where he's lost a couple in a row and now his back is super against the wall. If he loses this, say goodbye to a title shot again. I mean, unless he really rattles off more wins after that. But he's getting up there in age, 37. He's been around the game for a very long time. Kind of the same amount of time as Charles, honestly. I think 2011, so maybe a little after Charles, but been around the game for a long time in the UFC. So while Beneil is kind of that up and coming contender that the lightweight division is really getting put on notice for him, but this is obviously the biggest fight of his career, biggest test of his career. He has some notable wins, but no one like Tony Ferguson is on that list. So I think he's won 6 in a row now. So big one for Dariush. But man, I can't. I don't want to pick against Tony, but I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna take Dariush in this one, in a close one. I think it goes split decision, but
okay.
It breaks my heart to pick against Tony. It really does.
Now, before I get Walsh's take on this, I want to get a one-word answer out of you. You said split decision here. When people think split decisions, they think obviously a close fight. They also think an entertaining fight. Do you think this will be fight of the night?
Let me look. I actually think Burgos and Barboza will be fight of the night. I think that's going to be a banger. But this is going to be close. I mean, I think they're really going to throw down and see what happens. They're both they're used to good at grappling as well, so I think he'll utilize that. And man, this is a big one for Tony. Big one. His back is against the wall, so I think we might see some desperation from Tony, which could really, that could result in a victory for someone like Tony, who's already pretty wild in the cage. So we might see a really wild version of him. It's just really hard after seeing those two performances to pick him. For me personally, but I mean, Dariush is no Gaethje, he's no Charles, but he is rather good, and he's on the come up in that division, and he's hungry. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Vegas seems to agree with you, Mac. And Walsh here. Before I do get your opinion on this fight, where it's going to go, Mac did bring up that this is he's on the wrong end of 2 losses here. Tony Ferguson, first 2-fight skid of his career in 30 fights. I mean, are you with Mac on this? Do you think he's kind of on the downward trend when it comes to fighting?
His last 2 fights have not been great for him.
Right.
But there is no way Tony Ferguson is losing 3 fights in a row. It's just not happening. There's no way. If he does, he's got to retire. If Tony Ferguson loses this fight Saturday night, he's done. It's it. It's over. Call it a career. Hang him up. Leave him in the octagon. Walk out. And never fight again. Because I just don't see it happening.
All right, so Stephen A. Walsh here, folks, and he's got 2 hot takes so far in the 2 fights we've talked about. You're saying Tony has to throw him in if he loses tomorrow or Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tony Ferguson is the top, well, was, I guess. No, he still is. Tony Ferguson is the top of the line fighter, and he is going to prove that again on Saturday night. Like I said, he had 2 bad fights. It happens. People lose all the time, even the best.
Okay.
I mean, other than Khabib, but F him. He sucks.
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson will not lose a 3rd fight in a row. And I'm just not confident in Dariush either. Like Dariush hasn't beaten anybody.
Mac, I want you to do this. I want you to clip this here. This is 24 minutes and 40 seconds. And I want you to clip this, and I want you to get that song from TikTok by Twista. I think it's I'm Hopeful. Yes, I am. And we're going to get that. If Tony loses Saturday, we're going to put that everywhere, and we're going to make sure we put Walsh's phone number, Twitter handle, Social Security, all of that on there so people know who to contact when they're like, wow, what a bonehead.
Yeah, except it's not going to happen because Tony Ferguson's going to win, and you're all going to be wrong.
Yeah. Another one is, if you want to make some money, you could put someone Tony as the dog. Tony Chandler, you could make a lot of money. I mean, not a lot, but depends how much you throw, of course. But both very, very live dogs. It's just I'm just more comfortable with Dariush in this one. Just due to the damage Tony's taken in his last two fights, especially that Gaethje one. I'm not too sure if we'll ever get that vintage Tony Ferguson. He might be out of his prime.
Well, I do think we're going to get vintage Tony in the fact that someone will be bleeding a lot in this fight, whether it's him or Dariush. I don't know, but it's just crazy. I mean, this is part of the intrigue for me with this main and co-main. Even though we did lose Edwards versus Diaz, I kind of feel like we know how that fight's going to go. These two fights right here, honestly, is a coin flip. I mean, the odds agree with us there. I mean, I think that's what makes the card that much more interesting for me this weekend. Is really both fights are up for grabs, and I like that. I mean, if we're not gonna get the big names on the card like McGregor or something like that, and this is one of those cards where you really don't have either like a big name, but if you can replace it with close, interesting fights. I'm intrigued. I'm hooked. I'm ready to watch now. So I think it's part of the intrigue for me with this card this weekend.
Yeah, me as well. It's tough to tell. Of course, we're supposed to have Nate and Leon in this co-main, which would have been fucking awesome. I'm still very upset, but we'll get that next month.
Yeah, we'll get it next month, and I guess to get my pick in here as well, I'm going to unfortunately write off Tony Ferguson getting his third loss in a row. And I'm with Mac here. I think it's a split decision, though. I don't think it's a fight where he gets thoroughly outclassed, but I do think it's a fight he does fall short in. And does that catapult Dariush into the top half of the division? I don't know. I do think he would need another fight before we see him facing the Dustins, the Gaethjes, the Chandlers, the Oliveras of the division. So a good stepping stone of a fight for Dariush if he is to win.
Yeah, it's actually a good point. I mean, if he beats 5 while he's 9, he might push up to 5. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him face like Dan Hooker or Rafael dos Anjos. Right. I think that those are probably the two that he'd try and get after this one.
Which, yeah, that's where I stand with that. Walsh, any final thoughts on this fight here before we move on?
My biggest thing is I'm not sold on Dariush. That's what it is. I mean, maybe he'll come out and shock me on Saturday night and put on a great performance. And listen, I'm not trying to knock his last couple fights, but who's he really beat?
I mean,
I don't.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Tony Ferguson hasn't beat anyone in his last 2 fights. And I do want to ask Walsh, I guess, one more thing here before we do actually move on, because I'm being told by the sponsors we do have to keep this going. Do you think this is more that you think Dariush is unproven, or do you think this is more that Ferguson still has stuff in the tank to kind of make a run?
I hate to be that guy, but I definitely think it's both because I think Dariush is unproven. Like I said, I just can't see Tony losing 3 times in a row.
Really? You're going to be that guy, Mac? Get this guy out of here. Get this guy out of here. He can't make decisions. He's indecisive.
It's not that indecisive.
Hey, if a girl
is not going to lose 3 fights.
No. Let me ask you, Walsh. By the way, people that are listening to the pod right now probably think I'm legit pissed at him. I'm smiling ear to ear right now, and so is he. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, yeah, if you're watching YouTube, see how we really act with each other when we're on air. But the bit's kind of ruined, but I do want to ask in my normal voice now. You said both. Let's say I was to take you out on a date and I asked where you want to eat. What would you say?
Both.
You would say you would say both, or I don't
both.
care. We're doing both. We're getting
Ooh.
apps at Buffalo Wild Wings, and then we're gonna go to Jersey Mike's for dinner. Got it.
Boom.
All right, there you go,
I'm in.
folks. Somewhere I can tell you that's not eating Jersey Mike's right now because they're weight cutting. We have the women's flyweight fight. Number 2, Caitlin Copenhagen.
I think it's Chukagian, but it's a tough one.
Okay, so Chukagian at a minus 135 favorite over number 7, Viviane Arjau, who's sitting at plus 100.
Yeah, Araujo.
Yeah, that name, or plus 115, excuse me. That name just looks like Anderson Varejao to me, so I just took the V off of that, and I said, okay, that's probably how you say it. So let's try this again. We're going to run this back here. Next up, we have the women's flyweight bout between number 2, Caitlin Chukagian, versus number 7, Viviane Araujo. There we go. At the plus 115 favorite. Our underdog. I am all fucking scrambled right now. 30 minutes in, and my CTE is kicking in. Unreal. I did have in my notes, this looks like it is possible that Chukagian can get a title if she does win this fight. Mac, let's start with you. You're the women's flyweight expert here. Thoughts on the fight?
I don't want to see Caitlin get another title shot here. She got demolished by Valentina. I mean, this division's tough. It's Valentina's just so much better than everyone else in this division that it's really hard to get excited for even top contender fights. I mean, it's still going to be a good fight, high level fight between 2 top 7 flyweights in the world here, but at the end of the day, Valentina is leaps and bounds above some of these women here. So I truly don't really want to see Caitlin versus Valentina. Even if she were to win this, I think she would need another one. But I actually think Vivian gets the upset here. I'll take the upset at plus 120. Very close odds. I'm looking at the whole card here. Close odds all up and down this card. So I'll take Vivian at the plus 120 here.
Okay, you're going with the upset here.
Yeah.
Walsh, are you riding with Mac here? Mac is notorious gambler. When he makes picks, they happen. Are you going to ride along with this and win some money?
Well, absolutely not. He almost convinced me for a second. He almost had me, but I will say this. I agree with him where I don't really want to see Caitlin get another championship opportunity right away because she's going to lose. So, yeah, let her fight someone else after this, but I do think she picks up the win. I'd be honest, Araujo, I haven't seen too much from her. She is 10-2, which is impressive. She did beat Roxanne Modafferi in her last fight, which was by decision. So, look at that, throwing stats at you. But I just think Caitlin picks up the win here. I think she's just going to be a little bit better. She gets it done. And honestly, because we recorded my promo with my parlay, I had her in the parlay, so I can't really change my pick now, but I don't want to change my pick anyway.
Caitlin, all the more reason to fade Walsh. He can't even remember his picks, folks. He's got gambler-entia. It's like dementia, only worse.
All I'm saying is the hashtag fade Walsh crowd is going to be pissed after this weekend when they all fade me. I'm the one that's at the top of the UFC main event pick-off extravaganza.
The hashtag Ride with Walsh crew is going to be on your doorstep. The hashtag Ride with Walsh crew is going to be on your doorstep, lighting dog shit on fire, watching you stomp it out like a moron because they're going to be like, this asshole cost us money. The least we can do is get his shoes, his Nike Air Monarchs, all covered in dog shit. That's what's going to happen there.
Shoes out of this.
But now, next up, we have, I know Matt kind of brought this up as a fight of the night contender earlier in the show. I agree. This is a fight that's going to be pure fireworks. We got number 9 in the featherweight division, Shane Turbo Burgos. I don't know if that's his nickname, but I feel like that rolled off naturally, so he should change it to that if he hasn't already. So we got Shane
100%.
Turbos Burgos at a minus 120 favorite over number 13, Espn There's nothing that rhymes with Edson, so we're just going to go with Edson Barboza at a plus 100 favorite. We're going popcorn reading. We're going back and forth. Walsh, we're going to start with you now. How's this fight go down?
I do think it is going to be a fight of the night contender. Don't know if it gets the win because I am leaning towards the Ferguson-Dariush fight getting fight of the night, believe it or not. But I was on the Barbosa train until you hit me with that Turbo Burgos nickname. So I'm going to change to Burgos here, literally because of your nickname. So hopefully we can get in touch with him, get it changed for Saturday night, because I would just love to hear Bruce Buffer introduce him as Turbo Burgos.
Yeah, I'm actually going to let me look up his. Okay, so he's kind of on track with the Turbo because his nickname is Hurricane, and Hurricanes move fast. Turbo moves fast. So I think we could convince him. If we could reach out to him, Shane Burgos, if you're listening, before your big fight, please shoot us a message on Twitter at Branded MMA, and we will get in contact to have you change your name to Turbos Burgos.
Shane Burgos. Hurricane Turbos Burbos.
Did you just have a stroke?
It felt like it trying to say that. Oh my god,
buddy! It looked like you had a stroke there. Someone edit
that part out.
Welcome to the Branded MMA Show, sponsored by Life Alert. Life Alert, there for you when you're not recording a podcast with your two best friends about MMA. Mac, let's get your thoughts on the fight.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I think this might be the fight of the night here. Very, very close matchup. I mean, they're both brawlers here. I mean, that they will throw down for sure. Meet in the middle of the cage and throw down. I think Burgos wins this. I do think he gets the finish. Surprisingly, I think he'll get it. Maybe I think it could just be a wild first round, and that could be the fight tonight. But I think he'll get it in the second or third in this one. But it's gonna be a good fight. Burgos is a beast. I mean, we know Barbosa's been around for a while. Burgos is 13-2. His only losses are Josh Emmett and Calvin Kattar. So he has 3 fight nights on his resume. So I really like Burgos in this one. I think we'll see a special fight here.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And I mean, after giving him the nickname Turbos Burgos, I have to go with him. As much as it pains me, I'm a fan of the old school in the MMA. Well, they're considered old school now with Barbosa and Oliveira. I can't pick both of them. I have to pick just Charles to win his fight. I cannot pick Edson winning this fight. I'm going with Shane Turbos Burgos by decision. Like I said, a fight of the night. And something I do want to bring up to both of you guys here before we move on. This is a really good resume win for either fighter. You know, we got number 8. What was it? 8 versus 9 here, or 9 versus 13, excuse me. This is a fight that I do believe puts Burgos back into just on the precipice of a title eliminator. I know featherweight is stacked, but I do think if he gets a top 10 opponent after this, hell, even maybe a rematch with Josh Emmett when he's back, I do see Burgos fighting for a top 5 spot by the end of the year. If all goes well Saturday.
Yeah, maybe he can. I'm looking at the rankings. Maybe Arnold Allen might be available. Calvin Kattar early next year. You never know. But good division. We'll see. Shane will have a top tier opponent if he wins this one. So we'll see.
And I do just want to point out here before we touch on the last fight of the main card here. Every fight, like I said from the jump, this is a card that has a lot of close, interesting fights. Even your number 2 versus your number 7 fight is not that far off odds-wise. And that's why I was saying there's a lot of uncertainty going into this card. I feel like there's no clear-cut winners in either fight. And that doesn't get any better with the opener. We have the Bantamweight showdown of number 8, Matt Schnell versus number 9, Rogerio Bontorin. Schnell is the minus 175 favorite. We got Rogerio Bontorin at plus 150. I mean, this is another toss-up fight. And Mac, we're going to go with you for the last fight of the main card here. Lead us into the promised land. How does this fight go down to open the pay-per-view on Saturday?
Yeah, it's actually really weird. I'm seeing that these guys are ranked right now on the UFC on the UFC's website, but I don't it says number 8 versus number 9, but in their ranking system, they're not in the rankings, and I don't believe they are ranked in this
Oh, so
bantamweight division.
are you saying there's a little fixing here to make the main card that much more interesting? You know, it's like, hey, we can either promote it as 2 unranked bantamweights going at it, or we can go, this is number 8 and 9. You
Yeah,
think
but
there's a little bit of
it's not number 8 versus 9. It's unranked.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You think this is a promotional tactic by the UFC to possibly sell the card here? You know, you can't.
No.
If you have ranked fights going on in every other fight of the main card, you think maybe Dana White has OCD. Maybe he made them change it so they were to say, "Hey, it's all ranked fights on this card." You know, maybe that's something to think about.
Okay, hold on.
Take off your tinfoil hat, Chavy.
Okay, so
my tinfoil hat's off.
Hold on.
Okay,
Okay, a
hold
flyweight.
on.
These guys are ranked.
Hold on.
These guys are ranked.
Hold on. Walsh, hold on. Okay, Matt, go ahead.
These guys are ranked at flyweight. So this is 8 versus 9 at flyweight. But this is taking place in the bantamweight division.
Wait. Hold on. This is number 8 versus number 9 in the flyweight division, taking place in the bantamweight division.
Yes, Alex Perez and Matt Snow were supposed to throw down. Perez had to pull out due to undisclosed reasons, was replaced by Bontorin, and the bet will take place at bantamweight. For reasons I don't know, honestly.
Wait. Hold on.
Could be because of
Mac, I'm gonna need to stop you there. Hold on, I'm raising my hand for those that can't see. This is number 8 versus number 9 flyweight, but it's taking place at bantamweight. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes, that is correct. For reasons I am not too sure. Must be because of Bontorin being a late replacement. So.
Okay, and I'm being told that Bontorin was a late replacement for Alex Perez. Mac, can you confirm or deny?
Yes, I can confirm. Alex Perez is a beast too.
Okay, and do you think this has any implications on the flyweight division?
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to matter. It's in some realm, just because they're both flyweight. So, but obviously with that late addition for Bontorin, probably too dangerous to cut all that weight. So I think that's probably why it's at bantamweight. Although I wasn't really sure. But that's probably the best reason why. In terms of the matchup, though, I mean, this is a good fight. Close odds, plus 135, minus 167. I like Matt Schnell. I've seen him throw down a couple times. Nicknamed Danger, so fucking beast. But yeah, I'll take Schnell in this one. I think he finishes Bontorin in the late round, probably in the 3rd round. So this could be a good opener. This is not a bad opener to have.
Not a bad opener. Also, Walsh is a fan of not having bad openers as well. I was actually able to get a hold of his Bumble history, so I can confirm that is also the case with Walsh. Walsh, let's hear your thoughts on this opener.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Should be a good way to kick off the main card. I'll be honest, haven't seen too much out of these guys, so I'm excited. I always like not knowing too much about the guys on the main card that kick off the show, because it gives you something to look forward to. It's like, oh, I've never seen these guys before, and then they go out and they throw out a banger of a fight. Love that. So looking forward to it. Who was the underdog in this one again?
Bartono.
Bontorin.
Sorry.
Was his nickname Danger? No, right? Is the other dude's nickname was Danger?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going with the guy whose nickname's Danger, because I can't bet against the guy whose nickname's Danger.
And now, is that because your favorite porn star is Bella Danger?
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, well, we'll just...
She's up there, but I don't think she's my favorite.
For the folks at home, take that as you will. That's an interesting main card. And since we're talking about the main card here, before we move on to the rest of the prelims here, I want to make sure I get this from you guys. Let's go ahead, and I got to make sure we do this at an even time, because I'm going to clip it for Twitter. And 44 2. All right, guys, we have a lot of interesting fights for this card. Any of them could be fight of the night. We've talked about it already. I want to get your guys' confirmed, locked-in picks for fight of the night coming up this weekend at UFC 262. Mac, let's start with you. What is taking home fight of the night?
Fight of the night, I think it's Shane Burgos and Edson Barboza in that featherweight bout on the main card. Obviously, I think that's going to be a very, very high-level competitive fight where they really meet in the middle and throw down for 15 minutes. So I think it's going to be a good one.
There we go. We got Mac locked in. Turbo, Burgos, Edson Barboza, fight of the night. Walsh, let's hear from you.
I kind of hinted to it earlier. I really think we are going to see the old Tony Ferguson. He's going to bounce back, and I think this fight against Dariush is going to potentially be the fight of the night. So lock it in. Hammer it.
Lock it in. Hammer
Positive
it.
vibes only, baby. Positive vibes only.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to look like a real asshole not writing the positive vibes, but I'm with Mac here. Turbos, Burgos, Edson Barboza, fight of the night. 2 guys swanging, banging, clanging. It's going to be a hell of a fight. Barn burner, but don't literally go out and burn barns over it. But that's fight of the night right there, folks.
Well, if it's your own barn, though, you can burn it if you'd like.
For insurance reasons, you are okay to do that. I've actually checked with standards and practices for Branded Sports. They said we're okay to say that. So that's
he is a somewhat licensed insurance agent.
Yeah, somewhat licensed insurance agent. That is a hell of a main card. If you're gonna watch it, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that. It's 46 minutes into recording the show. Of course, we're gonna flub up every once in a while. But let's get on to the ESPN prelims here. We're just going to run through these real quick. I'll get your guys' quick thoughts on this. Start at 8 p.m. in the main event, with air quotes, for the prelims. We have Ronaldo Jacare Souza at the minus. Oh, it's a pick'em fight, actually. Ronaldo Jacare Souza against Andre Muniz. Quick thoughts on this, guys.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see. Jacare back in there. He's obviously a very well-known fighter. So, would love to see him get a dub.
Okay. Walsh, real quick.
Souza to win.
Souza to win. I love it. That's quick. That's efficient. Right to the point. Next up, we got featherweight matchup. Lando Venata against Mike, not Gundy, but Grundy. And we have Grundy as the minus 120 favorite over the guy who pleaded the fifth when asked about teammate Donald Cerrone's story about Joshua Fabia. So just something to think about before you lay money down in this fight. I'm going Lando. Guys, what do we got?
Grundy.
I'm gonna go Grundy as well. We got a Brit. He's a wrestler. I think the Brits will be happy across the pond if he gets this dub.
Now, is the fact that you wear a scally cap during a recording of tonight's show play a factor in why you pick Grundy?
No, I'm from Ireland, not Britain.
Okay, it's neither here nor there, but you heard it there, folks. 2 against 1. Grundy's winning. Women's flyweight, we got number 11, Andrea Lee at the plus 120 underdog against the champion's sister here, number 12 ranked Antonia. No, did I spell that? Antonina. Right? Is that how I say it?
Yeah, I think it's just Antonia.
Okay, well, that's a lot of letters just to say Antonia. We're not going to name shame here, though. Antonina Shevchenko is the minus 140 favorite. Let's hear it.
I'll take Antonia.
Go ahead, Matt. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can't pick against the sister's champion. The champion's sister, who is kind of a rocket. She's good looking. So I'll take Antonia in this one.
Okay. Luckily, since we are kind of taking this MMA somewhat seriously, if this was another show that we used to do, there'd be something that would happen right after Max said that. But thankfully, we are mature and we are past that. But just letting you guys know that something would have been said if this was a different podcast. I'm also going to go Shevchenko decision. Should be a good fight. Probably my second favorite for fight of the night. Hot take alert. There we go. We all got to get one hot take in a show. And obviously Walsh has used Max because he put 2 of them out there. So there we go. Opening the ESPN prelims, we got Jordan Wright.
I don't get a pick? Hold on. Whoa. I don't get a pick on that fight? We're just skipping over. Is that what we do now? I did not. I am taking Shevchenko. Thank you very much. But you didn't get my reasoning. Okay. Strictly because I don't want to see her lose until she's the number one contender because I want to see the sisters fight.
That'd be awesome.
Proceed.
Kind of like a Mary-Kate and Ashley scenario in a movie. I believe they actually did do that back in the early days of the UFC. They did actually do a Mary-Kate versus Ashley movie called Double Trouble in the Octagon, where they did actually fight for a title back in the day. In the bare knuckle days, of course. I believe it was a tournament, one-night tournament, and Mary-Kate took down Dan Severn in the semifinals to make her way into that championship fight. And I believe Ashley Olsen took down Kimo Leopoldo. Don't quote me on that, not 100% sure. I don't even know if it made it out to VHS, but I think that's something I found on the internet before. So yeah, next up, Jordan Wright, another pick'em, middleweight, Jordan Wright against Jamie Pickett. So the bets are saying pick'em, so I need someone to do picks here. So pick'em. What do you want?
Jordan Wright.
Somebody. Jordan Wright. All right. Mac.
I'll take Jamie Pickett. Jordan Wright's undefeated, but I think Pickett gets hands Jordan his first loss.
Okay, I like it. This is the night of first here. We could see Charles Oliveira's very first title win. We could see Jamie Pickett's first loss. No, Jordan Wright's first loss. Sorry. Right. Did I fuck that up?
Yeah. It's Jordan Wright's first loss.
Okay, we're going to see Jordan Wright's first loss. We're going off the rails, folks. This is what happens when you're 15 minutes into a show. The early prelims, we have Gina Manzani against Priscilla Coachella and Kevin Aguilar against Tucker Lutz and Christos Giagos versus Sean Soriano. These are the very early prelims starting at 6 p.m. I can't see, unless you're a diehard or you like to get to events early, that people are going to be watching this fight. If there's something interesting that does happen, we will tweet it out at Branded MMA, or if you don't see it there, I'm sure you're going to see it on the pay-per-view if all the fights go by just like that. So we won't really touch on that. Oh, sorry, Matt, go ahead. I guess we are going to touch on that.
Gina's a beast. She's married to Tim Elliott. So I'm taking Gina on this one. And Sean Soriano's a fucking beast too.
Okay, you know what? I've just been told by our producer, Mac, here, that these actually are can't-miss fights, so drop everything you're doing at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Watch the fights. We had two canceled fights, unfortunately. Like we said, we had the welterweight matchup between Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz canceled, or actually postponed to the next event, UFC 263, which will be an interesting preview show that we will do, and then a twice as interesting recap show the next show we do after that. That's going to be a good fight. And then we had Jack, and I'm tagging Mac in on this because I don't want to try this name. Go ahead, Mac. Jack.
Oh, Jack Hermanson?
That's shockingly simple considering how it's spelled.
Yeah, no.
I thought you were going to worry about the next one. Who he was going up against.
That's also very confusing.
Edmund Shabazian.
Okay.
Which, disappointed we're not seeing that, but it'll happen next weekend. Would have been a great addition on that main card, though.
Would have been for sure. So, I mean, like we said, we did lose fights here, but we're not sitting here wondering what could this card have been if we didn't lose those fights. We still have a very interesting night of fights, folks. That all starts at 6 p.m. with the early prelims on UFC Fight Pass and ESPN Plus. Culminates in the 10 p.m. pay-per-view start time. It's going to be a hell of a main card, but that's not the end of the show. We haven't hit our hour mark yet. And so we do want to talk about a few things going on in the world of MMA before we go off air here. We have the Bellator Bantamweight Grand Prix possibly in the works. Guys, I just wanted to get your opinions on this, especially after talking about Bellator 258 and the future of the Bantamweight division and how stacked it is. Do you like this move from Bellator?
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, go Walsh, go.
I like it. I'm all for these Grand Prix type things. Like, it just makes it more interesting. It makes every fight that's in the tournament have that big fight feel. So I love that.
All right, I love it.
Yeah.
Mac?
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, like we mentioned, that bantamweight division is stacked and lots of options for Sergio. So lots of different matchups you can make, and I'm excited if that were to come to fruition officially. I don't know if it's official yet, is it? I don't think it is.
Not official. There is rumblings from Scott Coker himself that this could be the move next for the bantamweight division.
Yeah, so they'll probably take their time, sit down, and make make the bracket. But whatever they choose to do with that Grand Prix, I mean, just fire matchups all around that bracket. So can't really go wrong with those matchups.
No, you cannot. And speaking of matchups here, this is a perfect way to end the show. We got what to look forward to. And people at home can't see us if they're listening to the show, but there's a lot of fight announcements on this paper here that I made up for the show. So there's a lot of fight announcements here we're going to end the show on. Like I said, something to look forward to after UFC 262 it sounded like Satan was in my ear, but it was my own.
Just heard that too.
Yeah, you heard that too. That sounded like an exorcism was going on in our headphones.
That was
weird. Let's just end the show now before any more bad omens come our way. We have Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou 2 targeted for the summer for the heavyweight strap. Guys, quick thoughts on that.
I'm like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it because I want to see the John Jones fight. Like John Jones needs to fight soon. Like, it just needs to happen. He hasn't fought in a while. I'm a supporter of him. I like John Jones, probably the only one on the show that does. Yep. But, like, listen, buddy, I need to see you back in the octagon. You're putting on all this weight to go up to the heavyweight. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Get in there and throw down.
I'm with you. Hold on. We got to tell Mac here his mic is not connected. I tried to unmute you. There you go. You're better. Mac, you're on the air with the Branded MMA Show.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
No, yeah, I love John. I mean, but yeah, it's disappointing that this fight isn't happening right away, or not even right away, but right now, this year. So hopefully, hopefully it happens. It'll be very disappointing if it doesn't come to fruition. And imagine if Derek knocks out Francis. You just pissed away millions and millions of dollars if that happens. It's true too. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue there. I do agree. And we did see John Jones say he has no interest in facing Stipe. So, I mean, best case scenario for anyone that's wanting the Ngannou versus Jones fight to happen, we need to see Francis stop Derek Lewis, and then hopefully contract gets settled with John Jones in the UFC. And we do see that fight next, if that's the fight you're looking for. Moving on here, we have Kevin Lee confirming a move to the welterweight division, and he calls out Robbie Lawler in his first fight. Just quick thoughts on that.
That fight would be an absolute banger. I'm all for it. Would love to see that.
I love Kevin. I mean, I used to say he's a former world champion. Still think he has that potential. He's super young. So, if he really figures it out, rattles off a couple wins in a row, he'll be right back in title contention, I think.
All right. And that's hard to disagree there. I just do wonder if he has trouble with the top 5 of that division. I guess we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what happens there. And actually, breaking news coming across the Branded MMA Show. Anderson Silva facing Michael Bisping at UFC 267.
That's a good joke.
Thank you. I just wanted to see if anyone would fall for it. I'm just kidding. Anderson Silva is done with MMA. He confirmed with Ariel Helwani on the Helwani Show. He's got an upcoming boxing match against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He really has nothing left to prove in MMA. I guess he's going to go and do these kind of exhibition fights going forward. And, he's earned that right to do it. I think there's nothing left in the octagon for him. Nothing left in MMA, as we saw with a lot of people saying we don't want to sign him. If he wants to still fight and do it in other aspects of fighting, that's fine. I'm just glad he's done with MMA.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't need to be fighting anymore, and good for him. To be honest, he's made a lot of money, so good for him.
Yeah, and someone that has also not going to be in the UFC, and possibly someone we didn't see coming back for the longest time. Dan Hardy released from his fighter's contract with the UFC. I believe he is actually doing commentary now with Cage Warriors over in the UK. Do we think he fights across the pond this year?
No.
No? Okay, Mac, thoughts on?
I think he mentioned he wanted to fight in Japan, maybe. So, we'll see.
So we think
it's hard.
Ryzen. We can possibly see him in Rise. Okay, don't hate that. We have Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker booked for September 25th. I don't know what card that's on yet. I obviously not an announced card, but that is performance of the night guaranteed for whoever wins that fight, because I feel like that's going to end in a brutal knockout.
Yeah, I believe they'll be headlining a fight night card. That
Okay.
fight, so that's just absolute spectacular matchmaking. I fucking love Johnny Walker. So that's a great matchup, man.
There we go. Walsh,
Yeah,
thoughts?
Super excited for that one.
Super excited. Also super excited. Darren Till versus Derek Brunson in the works for August 14th. Another headliner for a fight night, I believe. That is a very interesting fight. I really don't know who I would lean towards one way or the other in that matchup. It's a close fight.
It's a phenomenal fight. Once again, good matchmaking. Think the winner could have a title shot. If not, of course, Robert Whittaker is in line too. So, but great matchmaking again. Love Darren Till. So would love to see him get a W in that one.
I think you would just love to see him fight. I did tweet when the UFC was talking about having in London that Mac needs to see that crowd swing Sweet Caroline. It's been years since Mac's heard it. He needs it back.
That one might be in London too. That fight might be in London.
Oh, perfect storm. Bet the house on Till.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
All right. And speaking of Robert Whittaker, we have a guy that he was scheduled to face and a guy he has beat previously in a very close fight. We have Paula Costa versus Jared Cannonier, booked for August 21st. Another banger fight. I really don't know who to pick either in this one.
I'm out on Paul Costa. Not a fan of him after recent actions.
Yeah, Paulo Costa outside the cage. He's an excuse maker. He's not a gift maker like us, but he's an excuse maker. In the cage, though, I'm tuning in. That's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, not a fan of Paolo too much either after his performance against Izzy and his excuses. But I believe this will be our first time seeing him since then.
Yep.
So it will be interesting to see what he looks like. I'll be at a wedding that day, so I won't be watching.
Oof. Wow. Oof. Tough break. Also, Mac, I'm going to tag you in for the next fight announcement we have because I feel like I'm going to butcher the names again. I only get 5 butchers an episode. I am currently at 5.5. I am over that. I am not allotted any more butchering of the names. Mac, you're in.
Yeah, Islam Makhachev and Thiago Moises, July 17th, it looks like is happening. I think we mentioned before the show, a little surprising on Makhachev's part. We thought he'd have a much bigger name after his, he's on a tear right now. So he's 10th in that lightweight division. I have a feeling that him and his team really just want that one more fight before really making that next step against that lightweight division. Which is obviously a very dangerous division. So honestly, maybe a good idea to do that for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he's doing the smart thing. Not rushing into that top fight as much as you would want to. Tune your game, make sure you're ready to go for when you do face one of those top guys, and really just perfect your craft.
I like it. I do think he is a future title challenger. I think it's too early for me to say champion, so I don't want to jinx him and then have him wait 10 years to fight for the title like Charles Oliveira. But he is a title challenger. He's a future title challenger. And last but not least, we have a former champion, Luke Rockhold, announcing he is looking to return to fighting. I would assume probably at the light heavyweight division. His last loss was to the current champ, Jan Blachowicz. How do we think a Luke Rockhold return goes?
Not great. I don't think it would go all that great.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think he does a lot outside the octagon. I'm not too sure if he's really in the game much anymore, but always a dangerous opponent in that cage. But kind of with Walsh, not too sure how I feel about him really having a successful run if he were to return.
All right. Well, I'm kind of in the same boat with you guys. I don't know how to feel about that, but I do know how to feel about tonight's show. It was great. It was can't miss. And if you're going to look for this show, start with Twitter. Go to Twitter at Branded MMA. You'll find the show there. You'll find our schedule. You'll find other little tweets we post during the day and stuff like that. And then go to the Branded MMA Show on iTunes or Spotify. You'll find us there. We have a super clean new logo now. Shout out Canva for making graphic design easy for a simpleton like myself. And then go to YouTube, Branded MMA. We are posting our full shows on there, and we have a pretty cool intro there. Again, shout out Canva, making it happen for us. Follow all of us there. Follow Mac on Twitter. Let's go with Mac first. At Ryan McCarthy 10. That's MACCARTHY10. And then last but not least, follow Walsh on Twitter at Keith_Walsh18. Guys, enjoy the fights this weekend. Shout out Branded Sports. Go to thebrandedsports.com. Hashtag get branded. Final thoughts on the fights here, folks.
Great time to be a fight fan, guys. So this will be a good weekend.
We're ending on that. That's the best time to be a fight fan.